Have you ever stared at a map for so long that the streets start to blur, but you still have no idea where to go? That's what life advice feels like sometimes. Everyone tells you to find yourself, as if you're a missing wallet under the couch. But what if you're not lost at all? What if the real problem is that you haven't taken the first step yet? You don't find direction by staring at the compass. You find it by walking. Imagine trying to learn to swim just by reading about water. You can memorize every stroke and every breathing rhythm, but the first splash will still shock you. That's life too. It starts making sense only when you move. We treat finding ourselves like a spiritual scavenger hunt, as if one day a hidden clue will suddenly click and everything will feel aligned. But no, clarity doesn't come from waiting. It comes from momentum. Think about it. Nobody wakes up one morning suddenly knowing who they are. They just notice the patterns from all the things they've already tried. You don't find identity. You assemble it piece by piece. So maybe the real question isn't, who am I? But what am I building today? Because every action adds a brick to the person you'll eventually become. And standing still only keeps the foundation empty. You can't find yourself by sitting still. You can only meet the version of you that exists after trying, after failing, after learning something new and trying again. That's where life begins to shape itself. We grow up hearing that we need to find ourselves, as if life is a maze with one hidden exit that leads to who we are meant to be. But what if that idea is wrong from the start? Life is not a treasure hunt. It is a construction site. Every day we pick up pieces, we place bricks, we tear down old walls. That is not discovery. That is creation. Discovery suggests something already exists, waiting to be uncovered. But who you are is not buried somewhere in the sand. You are being built through the choices you make, through the things you try and the people you meet. When you stop waiting to find yourself, you start building. Each decision becomes a design choice. Each mistake becomes a foundation. You begin to realize you are not looking for the path. You are paving it. It is not about clarity, but commitment. Not about waiting for meaning, but making meaning through motion. Because the version of you that you are looking for will not appear out of silence. It will appear out of work. So stop asking where to start. Start anywhere. Even the smallest move gives you more information than a lifetime of thinking. You can always adjust the blueprint later. You are not lost. You are under construction. And that is not a problem. That is the process. Bro, isn't that just wordplay? Finding, building, creating. It all sounds like the same thing said in a different tone. Does it really change how we live? Yes, it does. Because when you believe life is about finding yourself, you wait. You pause every move until the perfect opportunity arrives. You keep scanning the horizon for the version of you that already knows. But when you see life as building, you act. You stop asking what you are meant to do and start testing what you can become. You learn by movement, not by meditation. Finding is passive. Building is iterative. One depends on luck. The other depends on effort. And that difference quietly rewires your entire mindset. Think of it like this. If you believe you have to find the right door, you might never turn the handle. But if you know you can build a new one, any wall becomes a possibility. So, no, it is not just semantics. It is a shift from searching to shaping, from waiting to working, from asking who you are to proving who you can be. And maybe that is what meaning really is. Not a label you discover, but a pattern you construct through repetition and curiosity. Most people believe passion appears like lightning, sudden, bright, and obvious. But real data says otherwise. Over 80% of people change careers at least twice in their lifetime. If passion was something you simply found, we would not see that number. People change directions because clarity comes after action, not before it. You do not find the thing you love. You grow it through repetition and curiosity. Think of how many childhood dreams collapse under real life, astronaut, actor, rock star. We chase them because they sound clear. But the odds are 1 in a million, and those odds hide the cost of chasing the wrong fit for too long. Every year, thousands of people go into debt, chasing a fantasy version of success. They wait for passion to appear instead of testing what fits their skills and context. The result is exhaustion, disguised as ambition. A dream that feels noble but drains you quietly. That is why waiting to find yourself can be dangerous. It feels deep, but it freezes you. You end up optimizing for a perfect life that only exists in theory, while the real opportunities pass by in motion. So the next time someone says, "Follow your passion," maybe ask instead, "Follow it where?" Because context matters more than slogans, and timing shapes meaning more than inspiration. Randy Pausch did not wait to find his purpose. He built it, brick by brick, through teaching, creating, and dreaming. When he was told he had only months to live, he did not search for meaning. He demonstrated it. In the last lecture, he said, "We cannot change the cards we are dealt, only how we play the hand." That line sounds simple, but it captures the entire idea of building yourself. Life gives raw material. You decide what to make out of it. Randy did not find his dream job waiting in a corner. He built it through trial, rejection, and small, creative risks. He failed often, but each failure added another beam to his foundation. He was not chasing passion, he was constructing joy. His story reminds us that purpose is not an object you stumble upon. It is a structure you maintain daily. It grows through projects, not through thoughts. Through practice, not prediction. When people saw his calm acceptance of death, they called it wisdom. But it was simply preparation. He had spent years living with intention, not waiting for clarity. And when the end came, his building was already complete. That is why his words still echo. They prove that meaning is not something we find at the finish line. It is something we assemble along the way. You know those quiet moments between big chapters? The part where a movie fades out before the next scene fades in. That is what life transitions feel like. A soft pause before you build again. If this were a sponsored video, this would be the moment I say, build your dream, not chase it. But honestly, the sponsor here is time itself. It keeps funding your next version whether you plan it or not. Sometimes we treat breaks as wasted time, but pauses are part of the process. Even construction needs curing time for the concrete to set. Growth is not constant movement. It is rhythm. So if you are in a quiet season right now, do not panic. It is not a sign that you are lost. It might just be the pause between demolition and redesign. Stillness is not failure. It is calibration. Every time you rest, you are gathering energy to create again. Every silence is just a breath before the next idea arrives. So take that pause. Make it intentional. Then when you move again, it will not be from fear, but from focus. Because even transitions can be part of the architecture. We are terrified of making the wrong choice. The wrong major, the wrong job, the wrong city. As if one misstep means the rest of the map is locked forever. But that is not how life works. No career is a dead end. It is a detour with a lesson. Every job you regret still teaches you what to avoid next time. You can always redesign your path if you are willing to move. People say they feel stuck, but most of the time they are just afraid to lose progress. They think changing direction means starting over. It doesn't. It means continuing with better data. Imagine if a GPS stopped working after one wrong turn. You would never reach anywhere. The system simply recalculates. So why can't we treat our lives the same way? Every failed attempt is feedback. Every pivot is proof that you are paying attention. Growth is not linear. It loops. It circles. But it always moves forward if you let it. The real mistake is not choosing wrong. It is refusing to change when you know the path is no longer right. That moment of honesty is not failure. It is evolution. So no, you have not ruined your life by taking the wrong job or studying the wrong thing. You are simply collecting new building materials. And every brick can be reused. You have probably seen that meme. Step 1, draw 2 circles. Step 2, draw the rest of the owl. That is how most self-help advice sounds. Unrealistically simple. Life does not work in 2 steps. You cannot skip from confusion to mastery, from lost to fulfilled. Every version of yourself takes dozens of drafts before it starts to look real. We want shortcuts because they sound efficient. But shortcuts only hide the effort that makes things meaningful. You cannot outsource the messy middle. That is where the actual growth happens. Think of artists. They draw hundreds of failed sketches before one feels right. No one tells them they wasted paper, so why do we call our failed attempts wasted years? Building yourself is the same. You will erase lines, you will redraw shapes, and some versions will look nothing like what you imagined. But each one gets you closer to the final form. The truth is, there is no final form. You are a work in progress, a drawing that keeps changing as you learn. You cannot finish the owl, because you are the owl. So stop hunting for the 2-step plan. There isn't one, and that is the good news. Because the process itself is the point. If all this sounds inspiring but abstract, let's make it simple. You do not need a grand plan to build yourself. You just need small habits that quietly compound over time. First, write your story as if it is still unfolding. Not a resume of what you have done, but a living document of what you are learning. Add 1 line every day about something you tried or noticed. This habit reframes progress. It turns your life from a scoreboard into a journal. You start seeing patterns instead of failures, connections instead of chaos. And that awareness builds confidence, slowly but deeply. Second, protect your future self like you protect your phone battery. Do the small maintenance things that never go viral. Wear sunscreen, floss your teeth, call your parents. They sound minor, but they build a steady rhythm of care. Long-term growth is boring. It looks like showing up, not performing, not posting, just choosing to act today, even when no one is watching. These tiny actions become invisible scaffolding. They hold up everything else, and years later, you realize the person you became was shaped by the habits no one noticed. So no, you do not need to find your passion today. You just need to take care of the builder who will find it later. If you have made it this far, maybe you are not really searching anymore. Maybe you are already building, piece by piece, day by day. And that deserves a little recognition. You are not behind. You are under construction. You are not lost. You are in progress. And that is the most honest state a human can be in. We keep waiting for the big reveal, the moment when life finally clicks. But maybe there is no reveal. Maybe the click is just the sound of another brick being laid quietly in place. You do not need to have it all figured out. You just need to keep showing up. Keep building small parts of a life that feels like yours, even if no one claps, even if it still looks unfinished. And hey, if you have been building along with me this whole time, consider this your little checkpoint. Hit subscribe, not because I told you to, but because it marks the next version of you. Every click, every choice, every step forward is another signal that you are not waiting anymore. You are creating. So close the map, pick up the hammer, and get back to building yourself, your meaning, your life.